Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Janavalabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijanavalabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajakarandana. Yashodanandana Rajakarandana. Nativa Vanacha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijanavalabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijanavalabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajakarandana. Yashodanandana Rajakarandana. Nativa Vanacha. Yamuna Tira Vanacha. Janavalabha Girivardhari. Janavalabha Srivarga Shodanandana Rajajanarandana Shodanandana Rajajanarandana Nativa Vanachari Yamunateva Vanachari Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha Samasundara Samasundara. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Nitya Go Hare Ba Hare Ba Hare Ba Nitya Go Hare Ba Hare Ba Hare Ba Shri Prabhupada ki jai, ISKCON Pandacharya Divange Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Yo Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivachikacharya Sutra Sudakshi Shri Divange Shri Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Anand Puri Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Shri Vidas Thakur ki jai. Prince Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sri Gaura Bhakta ki jai. Shri Shiva Hare Krishna Gopal Shyam Radha Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Mayapur Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaved Bhaktavan ki jai, Gandharajman Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glory is to the simple devotees, all glory is to the simple devotees, all glory is to the simple devotees, all glory is Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glory is Shri Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, welcome to all the devotees for Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 2, verses 6 to 15, Part 1. Just sound check, everyone can hear the sound. Sound good, thank you very much. Right, let us offer the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapara Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Spitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Dev Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Viyusha Sarva Vedika Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokai Triprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavato Prabhu Kali Dvandodita Titya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophic conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer my respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madeka Bandhu Mad Sangim Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Man Nishtarka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Asadu sadhu tadahi nati nichochataraka hanamuncha kadachin mam premna ritkateo spura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O giver of saintly and unsaintly, O uplifted very fallen, please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma throat, accompanied with pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratas swabhigna swarat Tene Brahma Hidayadi Kavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Varimridam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Damna Swena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O Son, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destructions of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in fire, or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is the eternally existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Prayanalpayusha sabya kalav asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo matabhagya upadrita. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayan namaskrityam narachaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savai pumsa paro dharmo yatho bhakti radokshaje ahitukiya pratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoge Prayojita Janayatya Suvairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahutikam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Vedanti tattva vidas tattvam jnanam Tattvam yaj jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute non-dual substance, Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Shushrushro Shradhanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shrinrutam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Rityantastoya Bhadrani Vidunati Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and a benefactor, a truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nastapayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatu Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. By regular attendance in the class of the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praise or transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So just some feedback. Let us recap what we covered and what you took home from verses 1 to 5, Canto 1, Chapter 2. You can either unmute if you want, or if you want, you can just please type in the chat. Also, for those that are on YouTube, you can also type into the chat there. All right, so please share what you took home from last week's lesson. Okay, Nalini Kanti Prabhu said, Srila Prabhupada said, get out, both of us, for both of us. Yes, so that's was a very strong statement that Srila Prabhupada repeated a few times, 3 times at least in the one purport, that we need to leave this material world. It is not a fit place for any living entity to be in this world, especially if one knows what is in the spiritual world and what they're missing. So therefore, naturally, the pure devotees are very, very strong in these statements. Even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his song, Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, wake up, sleeping souls, wake up, sleeping souls. You are sleeping on the witch of Maya. So like that, there are very strong statements to encourage us to leave. Mother Lash said, Srimad Bhagavatam is for getting out of material existence, not for material gain or sense pleasure or obtaining mystic powers. Yes, it is a scripture that is kicking out all other forms of dharma that Bhagavatam classifies as kaitava, cheating. Anyone, Madhacharya Siddhi says, anyone can be born in any situation, but if we embrace the appropriate brahmical qualities, we can become qualified. Very true. Our main goal is to get out of the material world. Yes, Hare Krishna. This world and the body is dukkhalayam. So be convinced to get out now. But while here, take shelter of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Yes, while you here in the material world, make best use of a bad bargain. In fact, take advantage, and we're going to be covering that even not in this section, not in today's, but definitely it'll come up in next week's class, to take advantage of the opportunity that really exists only in the material world, and that is to bring people to the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. That only exists in the material world. So that service is very unique, very special. And while we become convinced to leave this world, we can take advantage of spreading Krishna consciousness and taking advantage of that opportunity. it is not negotiable that in this material world we can be happy, just as no happiness, there is no happiness in the material world. There's no bliss in this material world. There is flickering happiness, chapala sukha, but there's definitely no bliss, which is what the living entity is seeking for. Sham says, Hare Krishna, by remembering Guru, Vaishnav, and the Lord, all obstacles are destroyed and one quickly attains fulfillment of all desires. Yes, and an Uttama Bhagavat is already a Brahmana. Correct. The Vaishnav is already a Brahmana, and by remembering the Lord, the spiritual master, and the Vaishnavas, this remembrance is very conducive. We should not take it lightly. Remembering any devotee and the Lord's and his pastimes are very, very powerful. The less said, if we have no pleasure in chanting, then keep chanting to be cleansed. Yes, we may not have taste in the beginning, but we should continue, associate with those that have taste. Just like Prabhupada says, if you want to become a drunkard, no problem. Just associate with someone who is expert at drinking. And in that way, he will coach you, guide you, and he will inspire you, and you'll get a taste to drink. The world is full of questions and answers, but only those relating to Krishna give full satisfaction of the self. Yes, correct. Wonderful. And that's the point that we're actually going to start off this session with. So we're going to cover these sets of verses from 6 to 15 in two classes because of the importance of these verses. I'm not going to rush, and I'm trying to focus on today we're going to cover till text 10 to 10. So 6 and 7, Sutta Goswami is going to answer the top two questions, first two questions, what is the ultimate good and the essence of all scriptures. And we mentioned that the ultimate good, Shreyas, this is the ultimate good. And if we understand and convinced about this, then we can have other goals, sub-goals, prayers, immediate goals that will align to the ultimate goal. And then we're going to cover 8 to 10, which is occupational duties and their goals. We are in this material world. We have a material body. We have impressions that we've come to this world with from our past lives, and therefore we have a certain nature. And we may be in different positions, student, married, renounced, etc. What and how do we apply ourselves so that they align to the ultimate good, and they don't we don't sabotage ourselves in order to achieve the ultimate goal. So that is what we're going to discuss today from the verses of the Bhagavatam. So in the previous verse, or following this section, 1 to 5, Sutta Goswami, he was very pleased with the questions of the sages. And he said, Yad Krita Krishna Samprashno Yatma Suprasiddhati. That your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. And in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada, he gave a different twist to this specific verse or specific response by Sutta Goswami, which I felt it was very interesting, and I thought I'll share that in terms of questions. So Srila Prabhupada in his lecture in Vrindavan says, so Krishna Samprashna, if you want to make the whole world peace, Yayatma Suprasiddhati. Suprasiddhati. Prasiddhati means to become satisfied. And Su means super, extra satisfied. Just like Mother Subhadra. Bhadra means auspicious. And whenever you put a Sanskrit word Su, then it's amplified, extra, Subhadra. Completely auspicious, extremely auspicious. Or Darshan means to see, Sudarshan. Extremely beautiful to see. All right. Then people should be educated to inquire about Krishna. Simply, this very word, Ya Krit Krishna Samprashna, makes such propaganda in a way that everyone becomes inquisitive. What is this nonsense? Krishna, they are speaking, at least. So here Prabhupada is making an interesting point. He's saying, generally, those who are interested in Krishna consciousness, they will speak about Krishna, and there'll be questions related to Krishna. So that is very good. But Prabhupada is saying, make propaganda in such a way that everyone becomes inquisitive. That means those who are Krishna conscious, those who are favorable, they will uh, hear about Krishna, but those people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, they may be demonic in nature. They should also be inquiring, and how they'll be inquiring. Prabhupada gives an example. What is this nonsense Krishna they speaking? And even if these demonic people or those who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, they ask, what is this nonsense? I don't believe in this Krishna business. You people are all, you people don't know what you're doing. This Krishna business is not authentic. Whatever they're saying, because they are presenting or arguing, and it's arguing in relation to Krishna, it is Yayatma Suprasiddhiti. It is wonderful. And Prabhupada gives the example of Jagai and Madai in his lecture. He says, just like Jagai and Madai, when they, in the beginning, they were very much to Sankirtan, Hari Sankirtan. But one day, Madai was telling to Jagai, my dear brother, Jagai, after all, these rascals sing very nicely. Prabhupada laughs. Hare Krishna. They sing very nicely. Hare Krishna. They sing, oh, you are going to be a Vaishnav. No, 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 no. I'm not going to be a Vaishnav. I'm just appreciating. They sing very nicely. So you do like that. They will arrest you. You have got good experience. In London, they were arrested. You were in London. How many times you were arrested? Gurudas says 3. Prabhupada, 3 times. Our record is that our people were arrested 36 times. Now the police has become disgusted. They don't arrest. Yes. But this thing is going on in Australia, especially in Melbourne. I've got received. So they asked me what to do. To do? Chant Hare Krishna. And you'll get good opportunity. When you are put into jail, you'll be free to chant Hare Krishna. So they are doing that. They are not eating. The minister in charge of jail department, he was perturbed that these people are not eating, and they're allowed to do. You can cook, but they refuse because the same kitchen they're cooking. I mean to say flesh. So refuse, and so then after a few days, they were let loose. All right, you go home. Yes. So this is going on. So Prabhupada gave a very wonderful way to see this verse, that it doesn't matter. Therefore, Prabhupada said, good news or bad news, if it's in relation to Krishna, it's always good news. Even in the world when there would be bad propaganda in newspaper, Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Samaj also, they would see how many times Krishna is mentioned in the bad article, and they would be very happy. Yes, that's how many times they are chanting Krishna's name. So all auspicious. Why? Krishna is there. So text 6 of chapter 2, verse 1. So this is now answering, Sudha Goswami is answering the first question. Savai pumso paro dharmo yato bhakti radoksha jay ahoituki apratihata yatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental. Devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So the answer to the first 2 questions, Sudha Goswami starts with Savai Pumso Pumsam Paro Dharma, dharma for humanity. There are many dharmas in this world. Everyone has different dharmas in this world. But these dharmas are not paro dharma. They're not supreme dharma. They are aparo. In some cases, they are materialistic dharma. And here a list of some of the dharmas. There's Desha Dharma of different regions. There's Jati Dharma of social groups. There's Kula Dharma of different families. There's Ashram Dharma according to your different ashram. If you're a student, you have different brahmachari, you have certain duties, certain dharma, you have a code of conduct. You're a grihastha, you have to do certain things. There's dharma for women, Stri Dharma. There's Varna Dharma. Then there's Patni Dharma for those who are uh, wives. There's a certain dharma. There's Pati Dharma. If you're a husband, there's a certain dharma. Raja Dharma, Rashtra Dharma. King has dharma. Nation has dharma. So there are so many dharmas. In fact, it's described there are close to 20 to 100 different scriptures just focusing on the different classific or 20 to 100 different types of dharmas that are there in different scriptures presenting these different dharmas. But the highest occupation, the supreme most occupation for humanity is described in this verse. And Prabhupada starts off the purport by saying in this statement, Srila Sudha Goswami answers the first question of the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages asked him to summarize the whole range of the revealed scriptures and present the most essential part so that the fallen people or the people in general might easily take it up. The Vedas prescribe two different types of occupation for human beings. One is called Pravritti Marg, or the path of sense enjoyment, and the other is called Nivritti Marg, or the path of renunciation. The path of enjoyment is inferior, and the path of sacrifice for the supreme cause is superior. Material existence of the living being is a diseased condition of actual life. Actual life is spiritual existence or Brahma Bhuta. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30-20 existence, while life in it is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the futile attempt to get rid of miseries, and temporary cessation of miseries is falsely called happiness. Therefore, the path of progressive material enjoyment, which is temporary, miserable, and illusory, is inferior. But devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all cognition life, is called superior quality of occupation. So, Savaipumsa paro dharma yato bhaktir adokshaje. So the highest occupation, the paro dharma, the supreme occupation that every person can engage in, is yato bhaktir adokshaja, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. So devotional service to the Supreme Lord, this is the ultimate good. This first statement, paro dharma, is also classified as sadhana bhakti. Bhakti in the practicing stage, vai sadhana bhakti. And this Vaidhi sadhana bhakti also leads to yato bhaktir adokshaje, bhava bhakti, pure devotional service. So performing Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, which then leads to pure devotional service, this is superior quality of occupation. The word adokshaje, Prabhupada defines that. Ada means down, made down, or defeated. Krishna's another name is Adokshaja. Ada means down, made down, or defeated. Your sense perception will be defeated. If you want to realize God by your imperfect sense perception, that is not possible. You will be defeated. Ada, Akshaja. Akshaja means Aksha. Aksha means eyes. So you cannot see the Supreme Lord with your mundane, blunt senses. The way we see the Supreme Lord is by hearing. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada said that the materialists, they see with their eyes. The dog, he sees with his nose. And the devotees, they see with their ears. So we see with our ears. And another statement that Srila Prabhupada made here in this purport, which is also very, very pertinent for us. Material existence of the living entity is a diseased condition of actual life. So we should understand the fact that I'm in this material world, the fact that I have a material body means I am diseased. I am spiritually diseased. Spiritual disease means that I need to become cured. I need to regain spiritual health. As I progress on the path of devotional service, I will regain spiritual health, and I will know that I have become completely healthy when I have no material body, I have no material false ego, I have no material anarthas or obstacles, lust, anger, greed, jealousy, envy, madness, illusion, etc. So that's when I'm actually healthy. So we can use this just like if somebody is, physically uh, with ill health, he's feeling very uneasy, feeling sore throat, or he's got mucus, or he's coughing, or he's got pain. So as he heals himself, he can understand. He's realizing that I'm getting better or I'm getting worse. Similarly, spiritually also, we can measure: am I getting better or I'm getting worse? Then we know now that the ultimate good is bhakti adokshaja, devotional service. Now, what is the quality of that bhakti? What should the quality of that bhakti be? That devotional service, ahitukiya pratyata. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Unmotivated means no material desires, no mundane motive. Generally, people perform devotional service for some material gain. Uh, and yet, dharma, many people perform dharma also for material gain. They would have some religious practice, prayers for some material gain. But we want to practice devotional service with no ulterior motive, no mundane motive. Right? It shouldn't be for some self-centered agenda, but simply to please Krishna. Because Krishna Prabhupada says in the purport, I'm part and parcel of Krishna, therefore I need to serve Krishna. And uninterrupted means no cessation. It should be continuous. Right? There are also a few other ways of interpreting this, which we will share just now. For example, Prabhupada says in the purport, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Renunciation or abnegation for ultimate good is certainly a better occupation than enjoyment in the diseased condition of life. Such enjoyment only aggravates the symptoms of disease and increases its duration. So when one has this propensity to enjoy separately from Krishna, it increases your spiritual disease. And because your disease is increased, then the duration of your suffering is increased. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality. And what is that pure in quality? Without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of devotional service of the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desires, fruitive actions, or philosophical speculation. This alone can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. So we should always question, what is my intention for rendering service to the Supreme Lord? Do I want something material in return, or is it simply for the pleasure of Krishna? In the few lectures, Prabhupada talks about ahituki. Real devotional service must be without cause. Prabhupada says, and that devotional service should be ahituki, no hetu. Hetu means cause. I'm going to the temple with some cause for mitigation of some difficulties. I shall pray too. This is also nice, but this is not ahituki. There is some hetu or cause. We should serve Krishna without any cause. And not that by serving Krishna I shall improve my material position, or many causes may be. But real service, real devotional service must be without cause. And this ahituki devotional service, this attracts Krishna. When there's some mundane reason, then it spoils. Just like having some sweet rice. Sweet rice is very delicious, very nectarian. But if I got stones in it, and I eat that, and I bite onto the stone, then that spoils the sweet rice. So material motives in one's prayers, in one's devotional practice, in one's spiritual practice, this taints, this uh, uh, is unpalatable. Pure devotee is satisfied only with service of the Lord. But a pure devotee does not accept even all these liberations. They don't ask for liberation. Pure devotee is satisfied only with service of the Lord. That is pure devotion. Because there is no desire. That is explained here. Ahituki pratyata. Oh, I am engaged in Krishna consciousness because after death, I shall go back home, back to Godhead. Of course, that's a fact. But a pure devotee even does not desire that. He says, wherever Krishna will keep me, I shall remain there. It doesn't matter whether heaven or hell. I don't care. I don't care for it. It is not business. It is not business with you. It's not a business deal with Krishna. I am your eternal servant. This is pure devotee, ahituki, no reason. It is my duty. That is occupational duty. It is my eternal occupation to serve you. And these are the highest ideas of pure devotion. And we know Sri Mahaprabhu also says, Nadanamna Janamna Sundarim. I don't want followers, I don't want money, I don't want women. I simply want causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Even if Krishna wants to bring me back to the material world, no problem. So long as I'm still serving the Lord, that is pure devotional service. Prabhupada says a neophyte, in the beginning, the neophyte should desire to go back home. Right? That should definitely be there for in the beginning stages. But as you advance, then it doesn't matter. Going back, not going back, it doesn't matter. The goal is pure devotional service. Then apratyata, uninterrupted. So uninterrupted means constant. There's no interruption. It's not like I take a break. I've been serving Krishna for so long now I need to take a holiday. Let me go for an excursion. Let me take a break. That is not pure devotional service. That is Mishra Bhakti. So Mishra Bhakti, devotional service can also be practiced within the realm of the three modes of material nature. We'll come to that in the third canto as well, where Kapila Devi is going to describe one can practice devotional service in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, or in a mode of goodness. And they have different results. So uninterrupted means constant. Prabhupada gives another definition of apratyata. There is nothing in the material world which can check one's devotional service. You are a poor man, you are a woman, or you are Sudra. No, apratyata. Whatever you may be, either you are a poor man or rich man, black man or white man, or woman or man, it doesn't matter. Everyone has the right to serve Krishna, apratyata. There is nothing in the material world that can check one's devotional service. It is so pure and exalted. So apratyata, Prabhupada is giving this point that it cannot be checked. Any situation, no matter where or no matter what one is in, one can actually render devotional service to the Supreme Lord. This is the glory of devotional service. Now, if I practice this type of parodharma, bhaktir adoksha, pratyata yayatma suprasiditi, then what is the result? Yayatma suprasiditi. I will get complete satisfaction. It will completely satisfy the self. Ahituka pratyata. That type of devotional service will completely satisfy the self. And Prabhupada in the purport says, we have purposefully denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of dharma is that which sustains one's existence. A living being's sustenance of existence is to coordinate his activities with his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is the all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all living beings or eternal forms. Each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence. And Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the complete whole, and everything else is his part and parcel. The relationship is one of servant and served. It is transcendental and is completely distinct from our experience in the material existence. This relationship of servant and the served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in that transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditional state of material existence. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. So because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we have an eternal relationship with Krishna, and our eternal existence is based, is founded, it's pivoted on the fact that I am part of Krishna, therefore I meant to serve Krishna. And when we cultivate this relationship will manifest, will grow more and more intimately. And that intimate relationship with Krishna is what will completely satisfy the self. Everything else in this material world will not satisfy one but this relationship with Krishna. Prabhupada, in few lectures, gives some very wonderful points in relation to this complete satisfaction. Prabhupada says that unless you learn this art, how to love God, you cannot be happy. This is in Delhi. Prabhupada says, suprasiddhiti. Everyone is wanting peace of mind. Atma means body, Atma means mind. So in the Sanskrit, yayatma, suprasiddhiti, ya-atma. Right? So Prabhupada is giving the word Atma can mean body, Atma can mean mind, and Atma can also mean soul. So yayatma suprasiddhiti, prasidhiti means become satisfied. And su means very much. So unless you learn this art, how to love God, you cannot be happy. That is the fact. Then in another lecture, Prabhupada says, so yatma suprasiddhiti. Su means very much. Not only prasidhiti, but suprasiddhiti. Very much, everyone. The body becomes satisfied, the mind becomes satisfied, the soul becomes satisfied, and the Supreme Paramatma, he also becomes satisfied. So that is called Parodharma. Parodharma means, para means superior, and dharma means occupational duty. So if one engages in devotional service, your mind, your body, every aspect of your being and the Supreme Lord will be satisfied. And another lecture, Prabhupada says, the real aim of life is how to get satisfaction, full, complete satisfaction. And that satisfaction, complete satisfaction, can be achieved only by prosecution of devotional service. There is no other method. If you want to be happy, free from all cares and anxiety, then you have to engage yourself in devotional service of the Lord. That will make you free from all material anxieties and all material miseries. So the ultimate good for all living entities is Parodharma Bhaktir Adokshaja, to engage in devotional service. And if one engages in this devotional service with the quality of uninterrupted and unmotivated, then one will experience satisfaction, complete misery, and anxieties of this material world. So we have to become convinced that goal. And I'll share, we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very clear that, which Prabhupada quotes in another lecture, so to love God is the ultimate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written Mahan. The supreme gain of life is how to be situated in the platform of loving service to the Supreme Person, God. This is actual perfection. And we find traditions, even in the Bible, to love thy Lord with all thy might, heart, and soul. So this is the essence, this is the ultimate goal and objective. And it's also the essence of all the Vedas. This is the essential instruction. If we can remember this and become convinced of this and apply this in our life will be perfect. So I'll share four analogies or examples to just reinforce this point, that we need to be convinced to love the Supreme Lord, to engage in devotional service. This should be our goal. This should be our focus. This should be our contemplation. This should be our direction. The first one is a finger. If a finger is cut, then that finger has absolutely no value. That finger is on the ground. It's if somebody is walking and they see a finger, they feel there's a finger, spare parts. Let me pick it up, put it in my pocket. I'll keep it for spare parts in case something happens to my finger. I can put it. Nope. The person will say, see somebody's finger. That finger has no value on the ground. It's useless. But your finger and it falls to the ground, immediately you want to pick it up and you want to go to the doctor and stitch it back to your hand. Right? So your finger, when it's dislocated from it, only has value when it's connected to your hand. Similarly, your hand also has value when it's connected to the body. Your body value when it's connected to the soul. And the soul, have value when you connected to the Supreme Soul in loving devotional service. So if we're not connected to the Supreme, then we no different from that useless finger that's on the ground. So we want to be valuable. We want to experience that intimacy in connection to Krishna. Then, in this material world, there is no pleasure. Just like if you're in a desert, there is absolutely no water around. And even if you get some drops of water, those drops of water is irrelevant. It does not quench your thirst. You need far more than just that drop of water. So in this material world, no matter what flickering happiness, we will never be satisfied. We will never be completely satisfied. We will only be completely satisfied in loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, we need to search out that platform where we can engage in devotional service. Trying to get the ring, which is actually on the tree, but he's trying to get the ring that is in the reflection. And the sage or the sadhu, the devotees, the spiritual master, they are witnessing this, and they will tell this youngster that actually you're not going to be happy trying to catch that reflection. Why? Because there's no substance in that ring. There's no substance in the reflection. So the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. There is no substance here. It looks real. It's real in terms of the material energy because it exists, but relative to the spiritual world, it has no substance to satisfy the soul. It has substance for the material mind and material body, but not any substance for the soul. So we need to look up to the spiritual world. We need to look up to the Supreme Lord and our relationship with the Supreme Lord and engage in that devotional practice. And then Prabhupada would give this example that just polishing this material body, polishing the cage, this will not benefit the living entity. The living entity within this body, within this cage will die. Spiritual suicide. He will not be nourished. So just as the body has its needs, the soul also has its needs. And the soul's ultimate need is pure devotional service. And this is the ultimate good for all humanity, and it is the essence of all instructions, all scriptures. In the past, in the present, and in the future, for all time. It's not like it'll change. Few years, 20 years, 30 years, we'll have a different ultimate goal, or we'll have a different essential understanding. No, these essential truths are for all time, for all place, for all circumstances, and for every living being. No exception. So if one practices devotional service in this way, then what is the result? So text 7 says, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatya Suvairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahoitikam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the worlds. So Prabhupada in the purport says, generally, it is said that the bhakti cult is meant for the Sudras, Vaishyas, and the less intelligent class, woman class. But that is not the actual fact. The bhakti cult is the topmost of all transcendental activities. Therefore, it is simultaneously sublime and easy. It is sublime for the pure devotees who are serious about getting in contact with the Supreme Lord. And it is easy for the neophyte who are just on the threshold of the house of bhakti. To achieve the contact of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a great science, and it is open for all living beings, including the Sudras, Vaishyas, women, and even those lower than the low-born Sudras. So what to speak of the high-class men, like the qualified Brahmanas and great self-realized kings. So devotional service is for all classes. It's not, that it's like, as Prabhupada says, some people have this notion that if you engage in bhakti, then it's like a very low-class activity. No, but it's actually said to be the highest level or highest platform. The principle of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual progress leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual. And the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to spiritual activities. Becoming detached from material things does not mean becoming inert altogether, as men with poor fund of knowledge thinks. Neshkam karma means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of non-essential does not mean negation of essential. Similar, detachment from material form does not mean nullify positive form. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive form. So as one is practicing devotional service, one will automatically get knowledge, Divya Gyan Hirde Prakashito, and one will then apply that knowledge, with that knowledge be able to discriminate effectively of what is conducive for bhakti and what is detrimental to bhakti, and then be able to practice in a detached spirit from material activities that bind one. So Gyan and Vairagya are conducive to progress more effectively on this path of devotional service. Knowledge, and here we're not talking about impersonal knowledge. We're talking about knowledge that is connected to Krishna. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities. That knowledge, knowledge in Bhagavatam, knowledge in Bhagavad Gita is very conducive for devotional service. In conclusion, one who is a pure devotee has all good qualities, namely knowledge, detachment, etc. But one who has only knowledge or detachment is not necessarily well acquainted with the principles of bhakti cult. Bhakti is the supermost occupation for human beings. One who is on this path of bhakti, he will have all refined spiritual qualities. And we see how Srila Prabhupada also was very expert in dealing with all different individuals. He was always kind, very gentle in his dealings with those who were innocent. Naturally, those who were aggressive or rebellious, Prabhupada would deal appropriately with them, or even challenging, Prabhupada would deal with them. But otherwise, with devotees, with well-wishers, Prabhupada was very kind, very polite, because somebody who's practicing devotional service, he will not negate relationships that he has in this material world. In fact, those